Hello, good evening, and welcome to your go-to political platform live on Trust TV. This is Daily Politics. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. Now, amidst the ever-evolving political landscape in Nigeria, a new voice has emerged wielding the power of social media to shape socio-political discourse. This voice belongs to Dr. Bello Galadanci, widely recognized by his online persona, Dan Bello. A seasoned journalist turned creator, Dan Bello has risen to prominence, blending satire and comedy to engage and inform his growing audience. With a unique blend of humor and insight, Dan Bello's skits on social media has earned him a celebrity-like status, positioning him as a thought leader and influencer in the northern region. His content is not just entertaining, it's also a powerful tool for educating the public and promoting good governance. Through his comic videos, Dan Bello tackles serious issues like corruption, often weaving investigative journalism into his narratives to expose social ills. As social media sensation, Dan Bello leads the charge in northern Nigeria, using his platform to spark conversations and inspire change. His influence extends beyond mere entertainment, making him a pivotal figure in the digital age of political commentary. Well, let's explore some of Dan Bello's videos to witness how humor and social commentary come together in the most impactful way.
A wasu kasashen akwai birane kamar Venice, Bruges ko Sujo. Mu a nan Kano muna da kwatar Jakara. Tarihin Kano ba zai cika ba idan ba hada da kwatar Jakara ba. Ya ratsa tsakiyar kasuwar Kurmi, ɗaya daga cikin kasuwanni mafi tsufa a yankin yammacin Afirka. Saboda albarka wannan rafi, idan yan ambaliya har cikin shaguna yake shiga domin isar da alherin damuna ga kayayyakin 'yan kasuwa.
To a ranar shi ne yara uku suka tafi nan ko? Yara aka ga biyu ko?
Idan kana so zaka iya hawa kwale-kwale a nuna maka wuraren tarihi na Kano kamar gidan sarki, dutsen Dala da alfindiki akan wannan kwata kamar a kasashen waje. Dabbobi kamar kifaye, kunkuru da hankaka na alfahari da wannan waje a matsayin gida kuma uwa maba da mama. Kwanar Tal'udu da Da'a Gundi inda babu idan mutane, gwamnati za ta kashe zunzurutun kuɗi naira biliyan 15 amma kwatar Jakar inda ido zai gani a kawata shi zai ci 0 biliyan. Saboda haka idan ka samu kanka a Kano to ka tabbatar ka ziyarci ɗaya daga cikin cibiyoyin tarihin Kano wato kwatar Jakara.
Dan Bello, who was initially billed to appear on Daily Politics yesterday, is now joining us virtually from China. Dr. Galadanci, good evening, and thank you most kindly for joining us on Daily Politics. All right, before we get right into the conversation, let's bring you up to speed with some of the day's latest political developments. President Ahmed Tinubu has presided over the meeting of Council of State for the very first time at the chambers of the Asarok Villa in Abuja on Monday. Former Presidents Goodluck Jonathan and Muhammadu Buhari physically attended the inaugural meeting convened by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Former heads of state, General Yakubu Gowon and General Abdullahi Abubakar joined the meeting virtually. However, former President Olusegun Obasanjo was absent at the meeting. Meanwhile, the federal government and state governors have agreed to delay the implementation of financial autonomy to the local government areas across the country. On Monday, media reports revealed that a 3-month moratorium was agreed between the federal government and the state governors over concerns arising from the impact of local government financial autonomy on salary payments as well as operational viability. All right, so let's bring in our guest all the way from China, Bello Galadanci, who is going to help us navigate some of the issues around social advocacy, especially in the age of social media, looking at influencer culture and how it is shaping the political, social, and economic narrative in the largest democracy on the African continent. Dan Bello, good evening from Nigeria, and thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you so much.
Right, okay, let's start this way. Help us understand how you categorize what you do and your motivations for doing exactly what you're putting on social media.
All right, well, basically what I do is social political satire. and it's a form of educating people on what is really going on in Nigeria. And basically, the goal is to sensitize and create citizen awareness of the socio-economic situation in our country.
And how would you describe its impact on the polity right now? I mean, because for the most part, people were laughing at some of those contents that you were putting out, but then there's a deeper message in that satire that people are beginning to take notice of. What do you make of the influence of your content, especially on northern Nigeria?
Well, I wouldn't say it's very influential. It's only building on what a lot of great folks like David have already established. However, it's a form of education. And as a primary school teacher here, one thing I've learned is kids learn when it's fun. Kids learn when the teacher is funny. They pay more attention. They don't know what to expect. And I believe that Nigerians like to catch things. And that should be part of the philosophy of creating content and raising awareness and educating people. So I think when you spice it up with a little bit of humor, people will kind of pay attention, and then later they can digest what message is in there, and hopefully they can make something out of it.
At the onset, a lot of people will say Dan Bello usually tiptoes on the fence. The messaging is ambiguous sometimes. There's a lot of innuendos. But over the past few months, for instance, you're a bit more direct about who you're talking about and what issues you're talking about. What happened for you to make that pivot?
Well, it's because of the disappointment in what the politicians are doing right now. The crop of leaders from the top to the bottom, there's just so much frustration, not only to us, but to almost everyone in the country. And I think there cannot be any form of awakening without people knowing who the leaders are, what they are doing, and what they are capable of doing. So that's the reason why we really had to kind of give them a much clearer picture. And maybe that might really change things down there.
And how does your profession, I mean, obviously you're a teacher now, but you're also a journalist. How do you apply your journalistic training into the content that you're putting out there? Because there are a lot of your critics who would say, listen, Dan Bello is jumping on the bandwagon of some of the gossips, unverified rumors about activities of politicians to make his content online. What do you say about what goes into the making of some of the content that you're putting out there, especially with some of those issues that are neither here nor there, for instance?
Well, it's we're lucky to be trained by Voice of America in Washington, D.C., and also BBC. And there we learn, all professional international journalistic ethics. And using that, and working in Washington, D.C. for about 4 years, we learned all kinds of ways to find information, look for information, verify, and, know how to present that information the way it is. And that's basically what I've been applying, even though right now I don't work for anybody. And I wouldn't call what I'm doing journalism, but it's very similar. And so far, there's no one who has any problem with the information we put out there, because we really do put effort into making sure that we have really the best information. And if there's any problem, we will definitely retract it and offer apologies.
And tell me about some of the feedback you've been getting about some of the contents that you've been putting out, especially during the election year, during the campaigns, after the campaigns, looking at where Nigeria is right now as a country with all the economic conundrum that people are dealing with. What are some of the feedbacks you're getting, not just from your followers who absolutely love what you do, but some of the people who don't necessarily agree with your position on some of the contents that you're putting out there?
Well, especially the ones who do not agree, they like to sow, this divisive narrative. They like to say, oh no, this is a northerner, or this is a Muslim, brother Buhari, this and that. But to be honest, if we really want to move our country forward and to awaken the youth, we must, and we need to cross that bridge that we do not have to, have to separate, north, east, south, south. We have to cross that because that's old politics. That's something that we've grown up to see the older people, the older generation doing. And so far, we've realized that it's not yielding any result. So we have to bridge that. We have to pass that, and we have to really start looking at the issues, the main issues like insecurity. People's lives are not safe. We need to have respectful lives of people. Many people, innocent people, die every single day. Problems of hunger. The policies are not working. Sharing rice and palliatives is not sustainable. It's not working. And also, we need to hold our leaders accountable. I think those are the issues that these folks should pay attention to. But they like to, play politics like the old school. But I think it's time to really turn a new page and a new chapter.
Yeah, you talk about how you're not so sure about the influence of your content on the society, for instance. But surely a lot of people are giving you feedback in the comment sections, in your interactions with some of your colleagues and things like that. How do you see the use of social media as a tool, especially in light of the socio-political challenges that we continue to face, whether it's about social cohesion across the country or voter education, which in so many of your skits, you've been able to point out how people selling their votes for a token or spaghetti or food condiments and things like that is one of the reasons why we've found ourselves in so many of these very difficult situations because of the poor choices Nigerian electorates take before the elections. Give me a sense of whether you think there is some sort of correlation between your messaging and people having a rethink about how they normally go about, understanding these issues.
It's difficult for a lot of people to really believe that social media is really creating change and awareness in mostly young people across Nigeria. And, before it's radio and TV, especially radio. Most people at the grassroots level, they listen to radio and, all the politicians, they invest in that. They have trained warriors who go to the radio stations and sell their propaganda. And that's where people get the information. And, when you listen to those radio shows, a lot of times you will really think that, the next big thing is here. The change is here. Everything is going to be sunshine and lollipops. But unfortunately, it's 2024 and we still have people who are sleeping with hunger. So that's not working. Who are mostly on their phones and they use social media a lot. So radio's power has decreased. Radio's influence has decreased. The population of people listening to radio are decreasing by day, while the population of people using the cell phones are increasing in every minute. So the message has to go through cell phones. But now the guys who have been used to using radio to pass, message, to fight for politicians, to sell all kind of propaganda. Now they cannot use phones in that way. People who, gather followers and all kinds of credentials online are the ones who are really trying to sell all that information and sell influence. So it's open market. And if you really have good message, if you really know how to pass message, if you really know what is really going on with the people, and then you can really tailor information and tailor messages that will really appeal to them and catch them. And it's a new way, it's a new time, and no one can stop this. I recently was in Nigeria, and I went to a village to look for medicine. While I was there, the doctor said he knows me from TikTok. So as soon as I saw that, I realized that, the days that we were thinking, the people who use cell phones are only in the cities, it's over. Now they are on TikTok, and the people who are in the villages are also getting all kinds of information. So I think that gave us confidence in increasing, the social cohesion, increasing social political awareness, and also voter education to really let them know what they're voting power is, what they can do with their votes, and how they can really create change and select good leaders. Now, I really want to mention a few things. For example, there's also the coming up of new young people like the Rand Group on Twitter, who are, let's say, reawakening the Northern consciousness, like the likes of Amina Kano, Saad Zangur, and Moody speaking. These are young people who are really patriotic. They're passionate about their societies and communities, and they're coming up to really take up roles of educating people, voter sensitization, and really holding leaders accountable. And I believe that with those kind of young people, a lot is going to happen in the future, which is positive change when it comes to development of our society.
Right. So let's take a step back. Talk us through some of your process, because these are hardcore issues. These are quote unquote boring issues for the Gen Zs. If we're going to get into the details of corruption, accountability, good governance, political processes, most of them don't have the patience to understand that, whether it's in school, in a school setting, or in a social setting, for instance. These are some of the things that do not necessarily entertain them. But with your satire, you're able to draw attention to that. Tell me about your process and how you could make, a quote-unquote boring conversation entertaining using satire.
I think the first method is to understand the concept of marketing. And marketing, you have a group of people and you really want to sell a product to them. And to do that, first you need to know what catches their attention, in what kind of format, the duration, and also what language appeals. Our northern Nigerians, they speak Hausa, most of them, even though when you get educated, you really think maybe half of the people there speak English, but actually not. So the language is very important. And also, the duration of the message. People don't have a lot of money to buy data, so it cannot be, long 5, 7, 10 minutes. And, you got to create characters that they can relate to, but at the same time, it needs to be spiced up with humor, because Nigerians really like humor. So I think those are the small little things that I just kind of think. And, I talk with my wife, I talk with my friends at the Ranch HQ, I talk with, my friend, Dr. MK Hassan, I talk with my dad. And then, eventually we come up with something that makes sense, and we just try it. If it's okay, it goes. But a lot of times because we really put our heads together, I think we do have good results.
What do you say to people who say Dan Bello is in China, where a lot of the things that many Nigerians are going through right now, or a lot of the issues that he's trying to bring to the fore, he doesn't necessarily have to experience them in China, for instance, whether it's about basic amenities, security, social services, and things like that. And to them, that seems like an anomaly. If you cannot relate to us with regards to the issues, how can you speak on it? And they question your genuity when you talk about these issues. Tell me why these issues are pertinent for you, and how it is not just about making a name for yourself on social media.
Well, home is home, and no matter how long I'm going to be here, I'm going to have to go back home. And it's not just for me, but I think for a lot of other Nigerians, it is a good thing that there are some people out there like, me, like Bulama, like Jafar, Usman Kabara, Dr. MK Hassan. We are all outside, and most of us are doing really well, but we really do care about our people, because we have relatives, we have friends, we have classmates. We have our people. We have our people that, we relate to in many different ways, in history, in lifestyle. When we talk to each other, when we look at each other, there's so much commonality. Unlike, these countries out here where sometimes, you kind of feel out of place. Them, their problems, and to use the resources, the knowledge, the wisdom, and the experience that we have out here to kind of try to, see what we can do, even from distance. And I'm glad that it's working, because, with the use of the cell phone and social media, it opens up more channels for people to really kind of see what is out there and to relate. And now, for our young people in Nigeria, they are really getting to know that they don't have a lot of difference from the young people outside all over the world. We have very intelligent people in Nigeria. We have very resourceful people, creative people, hardworking people, and we are all trying to connect the dots to see where is the problem, and how can we address that problem so that we also can enjoy, we also can live safe lives. We also can have great education. We can have good security, and we can have justice and equal rights. So that's I think those are the things that we out here should continue doing, and hopefully we can help and we can contribute positively.
So you don't think you being outside of Nigeria, living outside of Nigeria permanently, is in any way disconnecting you with the issues and the reality on ground?
Well, it's a choice. You choose to care or not. You can choose to say, I'm just going to live my life. I'm going to live a very comfortable life here and not care at all about what our people back home are going through. It's a choice. And it's unfortunate that, you can count how many Nigerians really are out here in the diaspora, thinking about home on almost like 24 hours. Whenever we awake, we're only thinking about our homes. It's not a lot. There are people who left and never went back. There are people who their relatives have no idea where they are. It's sad, but Nigeria is our only home, and even if we are going to lose our lives fighting for a better country, then so be it.
Yeah. Talking about that, let's just segue into the very hot waters of this particular conversation, where there are a lot of political figures who are not taking your satire, your content lightly, who are not just unhappy about it, but are actually, threatening legal actions or things like that on you. Does that discourage you? Does that disappoint you? How do you feel about, people who your satire is about and who are not necessarily being, a good sport about it?
If what I'm doing is not good for them, then that automatically means it's good for the people. Because if what they are doing is good, then no one will watch the content that I'm making, and no one will feel that this content is really significant and it's creating change. So that automatically says what they are doing is not enough. What they are doing is probably causing all these issues that we're facing. Right now, the ruling party has enacted policies that are making people hungry. People are hungry, people are dying. You have people eating grass right now. You have people drinking the water just from a washed pot. You have kids who just going around knocking on doors and saying, please, we haven't ate for 2 or 3 days. This is not, a natural disaster. This is not a famine from lack of rainfall or from earthquake or a tsunami. These are from policies that can be avoidable. And these leaders put up those policies and have closed their eyes because I have no idea. And now they are unhappy because we are calling them out for the policies. So they want us to just keep quiet while people die? Really? Where is our humanity? What's the point of, studying and seeing how things are done outside and seeing that people do not have to go to bed hungry in other countries, and then we just keep quiet? And now they're unhappy because they get to give themselves bigger millions of naira salaries and doing all kinds of bogus projects. Yes, I want them to be unhappy. I want them to go to court. I want them to sue. I want them to do anything they can so that we should keep quiet. That's what I want, because that means our message and our work is getting better and better, and then we're going to push harder too.
Right. Okay. On that particular note, let's talk about political motivations. Are you apolitical? Do you have political affiliations? Do you plan on utilizing this, your newfound celebrity or influential position, to drive a political movement? Because, against the backdrop of NSAS in 2020, for instance, up until the 2023 elections, we've seen the youths clamor for something outside of the establishment parties, for instance. Do you plan to, capitalize on your influence and your ability to drive social conversations to perhaps lean on a political movement or something like that in the future?
Well, I've never been affiliated to a political party, and I didn't plan to, because I graduated from university in 2011, and since then I started working as a journalist. And to be really good and to be professional, one shouldn't take a side. And so I never took a side, and I don't plan to. I do not plan to, invest myself in the politics, but I believe that I can play a role that can really help the political system get better, help youth get educated on what they should do, and inspire a lot of young people to also go out there and create awareness and educate people on how to really get this old school type, the old mentality out of the way, sideline them, and really bring a new political system. I want to play the role that I do very well, a teacher. I enjoy teaching. I've always wanted to be a teacher since I was a kid, and now I'm lucky to be doing it. And I also want to be to play that role for our people using media, and that's where I believe that to get system working, it needs many different parts, and all these parts really need to work very well. So if I can do my part very well, I really do hope that, other people who can be governors and ministers and presidents, House of Reps and all, they will also learn and get enlightened and get inspired and do their roles. And then we can have a great big working system. That's my idea. And I really do hope that we can have that in the near future.
All right, just before we wrap things up, a lot of your viewers are probably going to form 70 to 80% of our viewers, a lot of your followers are going to form probably 70 to 80% of our viewers tonight on the program. What would you like them to know about your drive, especially for those who want to see more of the same going into the future? What would you like them to know? And if there are some takeaways you would want them to identify from your philosophy in life and what you think about your home country, Nigeria, what would you like them to know?
I would like them to know that, to be different and to create change and for our country to move forward, we need a few things. One, we cannot be afraid. All the people who have been afraid did not achieve anything. If you really want to create change, if you really want to enjoy yourself, if you really want to achieve your goals, you have to put fear aside and really have to work hard and you be brave. And then the second and the last advice and call I have for anybody listening to this program is work hard, put in the work, and get used to it. And once you get used to it, work a little harder and make it a habit. And by doing that, you really can achieve things you would never imagine you can. Thank you so much.
Dr. Bello Galadanci, aka Dan Bello. I was looking for an opening to use your famous catchphrase, jira, 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 but it didn't come up, so I just have to say it anyway. Thank you most kindly for giving us this opportunity to speak to you and to pick your brains on some of these issues. We're glad you had the time to join the conversation. Thank you most kindly for joining us on Daily Politics.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Bello Galadanci there, popularly known as Dan Bello, speaking on some of the issues that he has been a part of, especially regarding social messaging as well as a variety of other issues.